I've not even thought about how I'm going to introduce it. I've put a lot of work into this. This would do, whatever. Can you stop staring at me? Yeah, she's literally just like...
The chair's comfortable. I built those chairs.
They're lovely.
One of the most comfortable chairs I've ever sat
I'd
in.
want one of these like for my dressing table.
Oh yeah.
It's like a dressing table chair.
Right.
Okay.
Look. I'm watching you. Always watching you.
Every step you.
Everybody, welcome to the Amicus Lawcast. Woo! Okay, go away.
Okay.
Thanks. Cheers. Thank you.
Done? Do you want to try again?
No, that'll do, I guess.
Are you sure? No, I
Yeah,
think
no,
you
that's
should
fine.
try
This is
one more
staying
time.
in.
One more time, I reckon.
This is going in the bloopers reel.
That's the entire podcast is a
Yeah.
bloopers reel. No, you can go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right, I'm going in a bit anyway, so I'll see you later. Do you want me to close the door?
Yeah, please.
See you soon.
Okay,
Don't
thank
get
you.
stuck in here.
Thank you.
I'm very sad.
Okay, so Erin,
Hello.
hi. Can you tell me what Agatha Christie's Witness of the Prosecution and Henry Fonda in 12 Angry Men have in common?
They're things that inspired my legal career.
That's actually exactly the answer I was looking for.
Bro.
Unfortunately, because that is an article you wrote for... I wouldn't say their name.
No.
But
For another
that's
firm.
only, yeah. But I couldn't click on it because they've deleted it.
Yeah.
So I think that's a bit rude,
Yeah, well,
really.
They don't do anything that celebrates me.
Exactly. Neither do we. What was it about those things that made you want to get into law?
Honestly, to begin with, it was the theatrics. So
Okay.
I was always really dramatic as a child.
Mm-hmm.
I still am quite dramatic. So yeah, watching all of those and sort of the barristers prancing about in their wigs and the capes
Right,
and everything
okay.
and arguing, I was just like, yeah, quite fancy doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was before I really understood what law actually looked like in real life.
When were you told what the law actually was? When did this nebulous idea of the law change to something real? Like you know when an event happens to you as a child, and you're like, oh well, I actually have, I'm a conscious being, and I can choose to do things.
Yeah,
When did the law become real?
I think when the law became real, I mean, there's two parts to that.
Yeah.
The first part, I was in a year 8 English class, and we were studying Frankenstein.
Right.
And we had to put Frankenstein's monster on trial, and I was one of the barristers. I was like the defence barrister, and I was like, I feel like I could do this for a job. Like I just really 12-year-old me, too big for my boots. Thought, yeah, I could do this for a job. And then probably when I actually realised all the different parts of the law was when I got my first legal job. So I started as an office junior, and one of the tasks that
You've
I
read
got,
my notes. That's the next sentence.
well, one of the tasks I got given was to rearrange this bookshelf with
Right.
all of these different legal textbooks, and I didn't know what half of them meant, like conveyancing, and I had no idea what that meant. And it was I had to do a civil litigation shelf, which obviously I'm in litigation now, but there were various types of law like tort and contract, and I didn't know that at that point I was 17 that all of those parts made up litigation. So it was then when I was like, oh, there's actually a lot of facets to this. It's more than just putting on a wig and arguing in court.
And saying objection and all that good
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
That's still what I think the law is. It's not hit me yet. So I'm saying it says here as if I haven't written this. You began your career as an office junior, and then you became a secretary, and then a paralegal working criminal law, general civil litigation, and wills and probate. Did you hop about firms at that point, or
No, so I've only been in 3 firms in my career, and I've been working in law firms for 13 years now. So the first firm was a small local firm, and that was my foot in the door. I couldn't criticise the firm at all while I was working with them. They're absolutely brilliant. For me, it was progression. There was no way of me progressing, which was what then led me to my second firm, where I then started specialising in personal injury, and then on to Amicus.
Lovely. And Amicus obviously is the best one that you've worked at.
Oh, 100%.
By far.
Yeah.
Do you remember at school when the teacher had to recalibrate the whiteboard? And like, if you got chosen to do that, it like felt like sick. Like you thought that's gonna be a good day at school.
Yeah.
It's not really relevant to anything. Yeah, yeah. You developed an interest in personal injury law. You've worked in the field since 2016. Do you want some fun facts about 2016?
Go on.
That was my first year in university.
Was it?
Yeah. The X-Files came back after a 13-year hiatus for the 10th season.
Nice.
Very important. Britain voted to leave the European Union, so sort of a mixed bag of events that year. You then qualified as a lawyer with the Chartered Institute for Legal Executives, specialising in civil litigation. You represent clients with a variety of circumstances and injuries, including fatal accident claims, traumatic amputation claims, and claims for the accidents for accidents that have resulted in permanent disabilities.
Yeah.
When you go to parties, what do you say you do to not completely kill the mood?
It's so difficult because it does kind of kill the mood. And I had that at a networking thing this morning. You kind of had to make a joke of it.
And which networking event was that?
Minehead Connects.
What, run by?
Amicus Law.
Incredible.
Of course.
Wow.
So it was seamless there. So
It gets so much better.
so yeah, it is always difficult because I think a lot of people have a misconception of personal injury lawyers anyway. So as soon as you say you do personal injury law or clinical negligence, people know that you kind of walk around with your own boo soundtrack. But it can be difficult. But when you actually get into it and explain it to people that actually a lot of these people have life-changing and life-altering circumstances, people tend to understand it a bit better as to why you go and do that.
You're a member of the Association of Personal Injury Lawyers.
Yeah.
So that's where you collaborate with other personal injury lawyers to chase ambulances and drain money from the NHS.
That's what you would think. That's what you would think.
That's what Google's saying. So what is it that you do? What is the Association of Personal Injury Lawyers?
So it's a big member organisation. To be a part of the organisation and be a member, you've got to be predominantly a claimant personal injury lawyer, as opposed to working for the defendants. It's a good way of training, of knowledge sharing, getting accredited, so that people know that you do a good job. Like I say, with the knowledge sharing, it's then sharing experts and finding good experts that you need for your cases. And I'm also on the executive committee for APIL. I sit on there, and so we help with legal reforms. And if we think that things aren't at the moment particularly fair for victims of negligence, then we push for changes to try and make it more fair.
So yeah, I've got that in. So again, reading my notes, just jumping ahead of me. In June 2024, Erin was appointed to the executive committee of blah, 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 whatever you just said.
Yeah.
Do you want some more fun facts about 2024?
Go for it.
UK Labour won the general election with a total of 412 seats. The Paris Olympics featured breakdancing for the first time ever. That's pretty cool.
That's memorable, that one.
It is. Speaking of memorable, I was broken up with on Christmas Eve that year. That was so like 2016, pretty mixed bag.
Yeah.
Not great for everyone. So yeah, joining APIL, I'm going to call it, allowed you to become involved in legal reforms and campaigns. So is it more like a sort of, not exactly, but like a lobby group to push for certain changes, or like what are the mechanisms you have being part of that to push for different reforms?
So there's all sorts that goes on. We kind of, every quarter we get together, we have strategic plans where we work out about what is needing our attention, where people are going to need our help. We look at judicial reviews and things like that. So if, again, we think that there's something not quite right, then we can get involved with that. One of the big things that we're involved in at the moment is the Mazur case. So where this Mazur case has come in and said that anybody that's not qualified as a solicitor doesn't have these certain rights unless you gain these additional qualifications. That's had quite a big impact on the personal injury sector. So APIL...
Because it's full of frauds.
You would think.
Yeah.
But it means that APIL have got involved with that, and they've been given permission by the Court of Appeal to intervene and to be part of the appeal process, so that they can speak up for their members as well. So it's like, for example, for me, I've been practicing in personal injury for 10 years, but with this Mazur case, I suddenly am considered not having the right qualifications to do certain parts of my job, compared to somebody who has a slightly different qualification, no experience in personal injury, they would be qualified. So it's making it make sense, basically.
Yeah. So other than like that specific case, is there anything else that, I don't know, you personally feel needs to change in the sector, and hopefully that being a part of this can help push that forward?
There's a lot of it. I think one of the big things at the moment is bereavement damages. So again, it's the nature of PI, but it gets a bit heavy. But bereavement damages are a statutory award of compensation when somebody loses a loved one. And there are definitions as to who can claim a bereavement award. But the amount is very low, so it's
Right.
just over £15,000 for the loss of a loved one. So, say for example, you
Well, that's potentially a lot, depending on how much you actually love them.
well, yeah, if you don't love them a lot, you might be
Then,
thinking,
yeah, I'll-
actually,
yeah.
this is great. But
If you really love someone, that's not great.
no,
That's my
So-
2 cents.
it's if you think like their earnings stop because if they've been killed, obviously you're not getting their earnings coming into the house anymore. All the general day-to-day things that they do as well, you can look at valuing all of that up, but the actual amount of the bereavement damages is relatively insulting. It almost gives sort of a price on that life that is not a lot of money when you look at it in that way.
What do you think is the reasonable price for losing a loved one?
It's you can't put a figure on that. I mean, this is the bereavement damages are such a small part of a fatal accident claim. You've got so many other things, loss of services. So I've got a case at the moment where a young mother died and left children behind. So it's having to value up those services that the mum would have provided that other people are now having to provide, or whether that's paid care or other family giving up work and things like that. Earnings that would have come in through their job and things like that. So there's so many facets to it. It's pretty complicated.
Are there any particular cases that you've been a part of that you're really proud of the outcome you managed to secure, or any that like really stick out to you?
Yeah, there are a few. Probably one of the big ones that sticks out to me was a carpenter who lost part of his hand because the machinery was faulty that he was using. Not his fault, his employer's fault. But it meant that he couldn't use a drill or anything like that because the way that his hand partially amputated meant he couldn't use a drill. And so getting compensation for him so that he can get back to work as much as he can, get enough physiotherapy or get sort of altered tools so that he can keep doing his job. Things like that are really good. It just makes you feel like you've made a difference. And then there's, like I say, the cases where you're helping families, especially where they've lost sort of an integral part, and you're trying to you're never going to replace that person that's been lost, but you're trying to at least relieve the financial strain that brings with it.
To lift the mood a bit, it says here that you're the winner of the Young Achiever of the Year award at the Personal Injury Awards 2024, and that you were shortlisted for the Chartered Legal Executive of the Year award at the Devon and Somerset Law Society Awards 2024. I've always said that one was stolen from you. We talk about it all the time in the office. The entire thing's a sham. So, were you just randomly selected for that? Did you have to put yourself forward? Did the firm have to put you forward? Like what? How does that work?
Yeah, so the firm put you forward if they think that you meet the criteria.
So have they not put you forward for 2025?
Not that I'm aware. I'll have to have a word with Jess. But yeah, so for, I mean, the Young Achiever, I'm now too old, which is sort of cries of millennial. But it's good because the firm put you forward. They have to give all of these details about why you ought to win. It's not sort of just to pick a name out of the hat. They sort of look at different things, different parts of your job, and whether you've actually sort of gone the extra mile. So it's nice to be shortlisted, but then in the case of the Personal Injury Awards, to actually win and have this, for a Personal Injury Award, suspiciously sharp and pointy glass heavy trophy. It's a really nice feeling to get that recognition.
Were you told like any specific reason why it was you, or is it just give you the pointy glass and move on?
No, so for the Personal Injury Award, they said it was in recognition of the fact that I'd started a personal injury department from scratch here, which is a bit unusual for a then, how old was I, 27, 28-year-old, and with my work with APIL. So when I was appointed in 2024, initially I was appointed as the junior member, and I was APIL's first junior member. So they'd not had a junior member on the executive committee before. And then when the elections came around, so the junior member seat was short term, just a year. When the elections came around, I was then actually elected by the APIL members, which was really nice. So it was in recognition of those elements, which was, yeah, nice for it to be recognised.
We've actually got a sponsor for the podcast, which for the first episode of a podcast, which has never existed before, is quite impressive. It's actually Amicus Law Solicitors. If you've
Lovely.
not heard of them.
Yeah.
If you don't know them, get to know them. Not only do they pay my wages, but they also provide legal services, which I was shocked to learn myself. I just want to let you guys know, if you could go to our recently wonderfully updated website, amicuslaw.co.uk, and click on Contact Us if you need any help with anything to do with the law, preferably not breaking it, but we might know some people. We're currently running a competition, and Erin has very kindly offered to cover the legal costs for your case if I choose you as a winner. All you need to do is leave a comment telling me what your favourite part of the podcast was. Just legalese, as giveaways fictional, it's also not redeemable for a cash equivalent. Anyway, outside of work, on the website it says you enjoy singing with your band. Mm-hmm. Do you still have a band?
I do.
Do you still sing?
I do.
Awesome, love that. Do you still go to local theatre groups?
Yeah, I've not done one for a little while. Life's just been a bit busy, but yeah, I've been acting with some local theatre groups for a while, and they're always good fun. It's a nice break from reality when, like I say, the type of work I do is so heavy. To go and mess about on
Pretend
stage
to
for a
be
bit.
someone else.
Yeah, it's a good escape.
Do you have a favourite?
Favourite of the shows that I've done?
You choose.
Yeah, any of the Agatha Christie's that I do. So again, going back to that 12 Angry Men and Ways to the Prosecution and all that kind of side of things. I've done a couple of Agatha Christie plays, which were really good. One of which I got nominated for an acting award, which was nice.
Didn't get it.
I didn't get it. Robbed again.
And you should have got it. I've been saying this for ages.
So they're good fun, and then the musicals can be good fun as well, and pantomimes and things like that. It's just they're all a break from reality. It's especially when you're doing a pantomime. A couple of years ago, I did Aladdin, and I was wishy-washy, so the village idiot basically.
Right.
So it was the polar opposite of how I've got to be, and it turned out that actually one of my clients was in the audience, and she was a bit like, it's really weird seeing you the way that you are day to day, and then you're prancing about on stage like that, getting beaten up by.
She thinks that in your day-to-day life you're actually a professional.
Yeah.
But that act was actually what you're really like, and you
Yeah.
just put the professional act on.
Yeah, I do a good impression of a professional.
You're also a keen reader, apparently.
Yeah.
There's been alleged against you. You've got your own library at home. You can tell I pulled this just straight from the website. Are you reading anything good at the moment, other than all your law textbooks?
Yeah. I've just finished a book called The New Neighbours, which is good, by Claire Douglas. So I've just actually joined a book club
Nice.
in Taunton, which is really cool. We've got a get-together tomorrow. So that was the book for that. I've also just read a book called The Killer Question. So there's an author called Janice Hallett, and she writes these books where you're kind of immersed in it and you're trying to work out what's gone on. It's like set out as like text messages and emails and all of this. So it's all developing as you go along, but it's getting the grey cells going. So yeah, they've been the two recent ones.
And for those of us that aren't going to read that, how does it end?
Oh, I'm not going to spoil it. Somebody might.
So was it the Young Achiever Award that Maisie Adams presented it to you? Did you get to hang out with her? Did you get her phone number?
Didn't get her phone number. No, she was a really, really nice girl. She was just really chatty. She was hilarious presenting the awards. My absolute favourite thing was she was doing sort of the typical comedian routine, having a right pop at one of the main sponsors.
Nice.
And then 5 minutes
Who
later,
were?
Arag Insurance, who actually we use quite a lot.
And we love.
Yeah, and then 5 minutes later had to present an award to them. So she
Nice.
felt a little bit awkward.
That's
but
good.
It was a good fun evening.
So, just for no reason, if this is going to work, I hope this does. Otherwise, I've spent ages planning this for nothing. I'm not showing the why is that ad that comes up on a work laptop?
Oh no, you can't play that.
I'm not playing. Oh, you can.
No.
Actually, yeah, I can show the ad. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So what's going on here?
That looks like an open mic night from when I was about 13, I think. I'll thank my dad later for uploading all of these.
I was going to say, yeah, just first page of Google. Just type in your name. If anybody that's watching this wants to Google it, just Google Erin's name. You'll find it.
That's the problem. I think there's probably only one of me in the world. I don't imagine there's many other Darling Finance.
I sort of want to. So I was just going to show you all of them that I found, but I'm now more interested in what ads pop up. This one is. This one, that's all right.
It's
that's
more
fine.
appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell anyone else, but I can assure you, I don't Google those sorts of things at work. Anyway. So you also did volunteer as a radio presenter for Radio Camelot for the inpatients of Yeovil District Hospital.
Yeah.
It's bad enough that they're in Yeovil anyways. Why did he put them through that as well?
Subject them to me.
Yeah.
I know. It's.
Or did he just sit there and sing for an hour, or?
No. So it was. I'd go around. So I'd go after work and I'd go around the wards, get requests. So I'd do the request show.
Okay.
So they'd write down what they wanted, and then I'd make up the request show from that for the evening.
Did you ever have to say no to any requests?
I never got any inappropriate ones. No. So yeah, it made it a bit more interesting. But,
So was it just a general hospital, I guess? Did you serve like specific wards? Did any get any preferential treatment? So if they're on like end of life, you're like, right, we've had this one 12 times already, but like you're.
I think there were a few different request shows, so I think
Right.
they would take it in turns. So
I see.
I think I would go around wards 6 and 7 and go and get all of their requests. And then that would be the Friday night slot, so then they'd get the
Prime
radio
time.
through. Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
I mean, Scott Mills who?
Have you ever blogged before?
Don't think so.
Is that not you?
I mean, it looks like me.
Well, it's not a picture of you,
Well,
so I'm not sure. Yeah.
looks like me.
There's no posts on there, so that
So
must have
maybe
been.
I thought about it.
Yeah,
I thought about blogging. And I didn't.
And there's also a really nice review of you on Review Solicitors.
Okay.
I'm not going to say the name, but they were saying that they're very distressed about a situation, and Erin helped. I don't think that's the word they meant to use, but put together an email for me and gave me a bunch of advice free of charge. So I was just wondering if I could request some advice free of charge, because apparently it's something that you do. So at the start of December, I was viciously pushed down half a set of stairs by what I thought was a friend, and now I'm suffering greatly with a back injury and back pain. What can I do about it? What can I do about it? What can I do to press charges? You know, what sort of claim do I have?
You'd have to speak to the police from the criminal side of things, but I mean, speaking theoretically, there is the Criminal Injuries Compensation Scheme.
Okay.
So people who are victims of violent crime, but
It was violent.
it was
let me
violent.
tell you. Yeah.
It's
I didn't slip.
the compensation scheme is also another one of these ones where things haven't, let's say they've not been updated for a while in terms of the value of certain injuries, and certain things, without going too heavy, certain things that you can't really put a price on are massively insultingly undervalued. So yeah, there is that as a remedy if you were to look into it.
I'm definitely going to have to, because it has significantly impacted my life. I've spent a lot of money on paracetamol, let me tell you. What's going on here?
That was, so I think that's an Abbey 104, possibly, in Sherborne.
I don't know. Again, it just came up on Google.
Yeah, so that's, I went to do a radio slot where I was actually on the other side of the radio. I was being interviewed. Again, looking at that T-shirt, I was quite a bit younger, so I cannot remember what was discussed there.
Okay.
Probably I was doing some sort of a gig or something that I was talking about, I would have thought.
Nice. And I have no idea how long this has been going on for, but I've not got anything else. But what I do want to ask is, I've already told you who the next guest is going to be. That's ruined it. So I said I'm not going to tell you who the next guest is, so you're going to pretend that you don't know that it's Lev. Is there anything that you want to ask Lev, and then that will appear in the next episode of the podcast? It could be anything. It doesn't have to be about how handsome he is, how good he is at his job, how he only seems to own one suit. Have you noticed that?
I have noticed that. We could
A great
maybe,
suit, don't get me wrong.
Perhaps, I mean, it worked for David Tennant when he was the Doctor.
Exactly.
He changed between
Let me
two.
show you this. So this is the next episode of the podcast. I found this picture of Lev, right? Happy as can be, wearing his suit.
Yeah.
His suit. Joins us. Where's the mouse gone?
Why is the picture so wide?
Joined us. What What happened? What happened between working here and here, where he lost the glimmer in his eye?
Yeah, he seemed a lot happier. There was a divorce case that was just ruined him. He just lost his faith.
I'm going to tell him that you said that. But anyway, have you got any questions for Lev?
We can ask
Or
him
a
about,
question?
isn't it there's something to do with his salsa dancing, wasn't he an instructor?
Can you stop
Oh, am I
spoiling
taking
my
all your-
podcast? You have read through all my notes. I'm bleeping that out. But, I mean, you're going to have to think of another question because that is...
Okay, and you're going to say about his rugby career, you already know
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Wait,
I've done some digging on everyone. It's fine.
oh, I don't know then, because that's what I would want to know more about. 'Cause it's one of those things you think, I don't know, you don't put Lev and salsa dancing or whatever it is together, do you? Was it salsa, samba?
It's salsa.
Salsa.
Is what I've been told. You can ask his favourite ice cream, his favourite law, his most traumatic experience.
Oh, yeah, let's
there's
do
a
that.
range
Most
of things.
traumatic experience.
I'm going to attach your name to that because I'm not asking him that apropos of nothing. That's not going to make me look good.
No, don't do that then.
No, that's a question.
That's a
I'm writing it down
Fine,
right now.
fine.
Aaron asks what.
And maybe that'll give us an answer as to what happened between those pictures.
I'm going to give a time frame of specifically those two jobs. What was the most traumatic thing that happened to you between those years? Okay, well, thank you very much, Erin, for joining me on the first ever
worries.
episode of the Amicus Lawcast. Great name, by the way. We had a slew of names, suggestions for the name of this podcast, and all of them were horrendous other than that.
Oh,
So, yeah, well done.
thank you.
Okay, Jesus Christ. Thank you very much. You see something?